Hey, you have a Yamaha? Do you want to go fast? You want more torque? You want to blow all your buddies at the campground out of the water with your kart? Yeah, Rick, I'm talking to you. Guys, about to install the Navitas 5 kilowatt AC setup on a G29. Gonna do a little G-body shuffle. Who's ready? Come on, I'll show you how to do it.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
So guys, today we're gonna be doing the Navitas 5 kilowatt motor on a G29 with a 600 amp controller. We're gonna be adding in a MJZ-400 amp solenoid. Let's kind of give you a little preview of what we got going on here. Got our MJZ solenoid. I really like these. Some people don't like them. They're louder than others, but that's what I like. You know, I like hearing the click when I turn the kart on. So we're gonna be installing one of these. And we got this big boy right here. 600 amp controller for the AC kit. We're gonna be putting this in. I'm gonna show you how to squeeze a 5 kilowatt motor. Guys, something I need to mention to you. If you have a Yamaha G29, most of the time, everybody wants a 4 kilowatt motor. That's because they fit better. The 5 kilowatt motor is a tight squeeze. In fact, the owner of this kart, my boy Nick, putting this motor in for him, we had to get a whole new rear lift for this kart. The way the shocks and the geometry are set up, if you have a Mad Jack's lift on the back of this kart, the big 5 kilowatt motor is not gonna fit. So what we did was we put a Jake's rear lift on the back of this kart, and it changed the geometry of the shocks to where we were able to get this bigger motor in. So everything wires up exactly the same, but if you have a G29, you need to make sure if you don't have a Jake's lift on your kart, a 5 kilowatt motor is not gonna fit. It's definitely not gonna fit in a non-lifted kart. The 5 kilowatt motor is a big motor. I'll show you some pictures here in just a minute. It stretches past where the shocks go. So just as a reference, if you don't have a lifted G29, you got to go with a 4kW. If you don't have a Jake's lift kit on it, you got to go with the 4kW. But if you want to run the 5 kilowatt motor, all you got to do, order the Jake's rear lift, get the goalpost, everything moves back, should be good to go. Alright, now that we got the motor out of the kart, I thought it'd be good to kind of give you guys a reference point to show you what these motors weigh. I got the stock motor sitting here on the bench, fixing to weigh it. Then we'll weigh the Navitas 5 kilowatt motor, show you the difference. Guys, the reason I show you this is because I want you to understand how heavy these motors are. Especially on a Yamaha, the rear end, the way it's set up, there's a couple of pinch points, and I don't want you to break your fingers. So this is just kind of a guide to let you know, hey, these are heavy. If you need somebody to come help you, get somebody to come help you. If you're 300 pounds like me, 70 pounds is like just picking up your hand. And then if you feel comfortable, get after it. I just want you guys to be safe when you're putting these in, because they are heavy and you will hurt something if you get a finger or if you get something in the wrong spot. I want you to have fun. I want you to go fast. I want you to have tons of torque. I want you to be safe. So let's get these motors weighed. God, it's getting cold. Wow. All right, so I got my scale sitting here on my bench. We got the stock crappy G29 motor. Yeah, I said crappy because they are crappy. I don't like them. I replace a bunch of these all the time. In fact, I think I got 4 of them sitting in my backyard right now because the motors were burned up and the controllers are pretty junk too. Sorry, Yamaha guys. That's just my opinion. If you don't like it, well then buy a Navitas kit and get done with it. So, all right, let's check this thing out. Let's see what it weighs. I'm gonna say it's probably around 50 pounds. Damn, I was close. I'll set it back down. 48.6 pounds. I was close. I was 2 pounds or pound and a half off. So, but you can see that old motor, man. It was just as soon as I pulled it out, it dumped black soot and ash everywhere. That motor was toast. That's all right. We're gonna go in with a bigger, better one. Okay. I'm breathing hard because I had to get this thing off the cart because I had already put it on to see how tight it was gonna be. Oh my gosh, that is a workout right there, guys. So, we got the big motor here. Let's put it on the scale, we'll see what it weighs. Oh, all right, Ryan, muscle up, let's go. Good grief, that thing's heavy. Set it down. 67.6 pounds. So, you can see the difference in those motors. One is large and in charge, and the other one, not so much. So guys, be extra careful when you're picking that motor up, because it will bite you if you're not paying attention. That was a workout. Holy crap, now I gotta put it back in. Somebody wanna move to Houston and help me do this? Come on. I'll pay you $0. You can come help me put this in. Guys, the G29 body is really simple to take off. I could sit here and waste another 5 minutes showing you guys how to pull all the plastic push rivets. When I put the body back on, I'll show you where they're all at. It's super easy. The Yamaha and the Club Car Precedent are like the easiest carts in the world to pull apart. You don't have to drill any rivets. They're all plastic. They just pop out. You got 2 screws that hold the, well, I'll take that back. 2 screws and 4 bolts that hold your seat tabs in. Other than that, everything else is a plastic rivet and everything just kind of pops back out. So, all right, now that we got the body off, let's get to the fun stuff. All right, guys, now that we got the body off, it makes it so much easier to work on all this. You don't have to take the body off, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna save you a ton of time and a whole lot less stress if you just take the body off. All right, so we're gonna jump in and we're gonna take the controller off and we're gonna take the solenoid off. Guys, it takes 3 10mm bolts to get this controller off. I went ahead and disconnected all the cables. You gotta unplug them all anyway. You have a positive, you'll have a negative A2, an F1, a F2, a A1, and the main harness. Pull all that stuff off, you're not gonna need it. So, let's take these off. All right, let me see here. 9, 11, dadgummit. Who's got my 10mm? Stupid 10mm. Oh, look what I found. 10mm, the elusive 10mm that I probably have 20 of and never can find one. Guys, go ahead and get all these out. Said there's only 3 of them. Get mine all loose. Everything's unplugged. We got this little wimpy controller out. Now we just got to get rid of that solenoid and start putting in the cool stuff. Alright guys, after we get our controller off, we want to come in here and disconnect our solenoid. The nuts on this one were a 1/2 inch. I think they should all be the same, but I used a crescent wrench just to make sure. And I got a fancy one that gives me the size of the nut. It was a 1/2 inch. So, all right, guys. This is the main lug to your battery terminal. You're gonna pull that off, set it aside, and then this red one right here, we'll be reusing it here in a little bit. It goes to your main harness. So, just like your controller, you got two bolts here that hold the solenoid in. They're gonna be a 10 millimeter. Come on, Ryan. All I'm going to do to take this one off is loosen them, rotate it down, and it pulls out. Okay, there's your stock solenoid. This one's still good. Probably resell it or find somebody that needs it, ship it to them. Alright, boys and girls, with this kit, you will get a new mounting plate. Don't lose it. You gotta have this. You're also gonna get a bag of hardware. Come on, cameraman. Oh yeah, that's me, hold on. Don't drop your plate. Anyway, you'll get a bag of hardware. You're gonna need this stuff. Don't lose it either. Alright, let's get it on the cart. Alright guys, normally anytime I'm screwing something together, metal to metal, I always put copper coat or some type of grease on it, but I actually ran out last night and I haven't gone to the store to get any. So for right now, I'm not putting any grease on this. You don't have to, it's just something that I like to do. So on this plate, you're gonna see 4 holes on this side and freaking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. When you mount this plate, okay, you're gonna come in over here and you'll see where they line up. It's gonna be on the inside hole. Make sure that you hit the hole first. And make sure that you screw extra slowly like me. Just kidding. I wouldn't put this in with a impact or a drill though. It's real thin metal on the back side. So be careful. I'm gonna get that top one in. Then I'll come over here and get this one lined up where I can't hardly get a screwdriver in. That ought to be fun. Get that one tight. Don't forget it. Alright. Mounting plate is in. Now let's get our controller and mount it up. Alright. Now that we got our plate in, we're going to be installing our new 600 amp controller with the hardware provided in the kit. Guys, you're going to get 4 8mm little stainless bolts just like this. Oh, you can't really see that here for me. Oh, nice. Oh, there we go. Nice and shiny. Okay, there's 3 in my hand because I got 1 in my other hand. Alright. So we are going to take that. We're going to mount up our controller. Pretty simple stuff. Guys, you're threading into an aluminum plate. Don't get crazy with it. You will strip that aluminum. And then you're gonna call me and be like, Ryan, what do I do? I'm gonna be like, I don't know. Strip your plate. Alright. Let me get these last 2 bolts in. We'll get back to business. Alright guys, I went to mount the solenoid and I didn't really like how close the solenoid was. It wasn't going to give me a lot of room. So what I'm going to do is I mounted my solenoid to a piece of pretty thick ABS plastic that I have laying around the house. You can use metal or whatever you want, but I'm just building a drop down plate. You can see in mine, there's not a whole lot of flex. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to use the existing holes and I'm just going to make a drop down bracket for my solenoid. You don't want to drop it down too far. You just want to kind of have enough to where you can run your cable under and back over to your battery positive on your controller. So let's get that finished up. Guys, I'm going to show you a trick. Instead of sitting there trying to measure center of hole and center of hole to get your holes to drill into your plate, all I'm going to do is come in here. I'm going to take a piece of blue painter's tape
make sure you get it straight. I'm done twice now, can't get it straight. Okay. Go in there, just kind of push it in with your finger.
Take your black Sharpie.
Go in there and follow your dimple.
And now you know exactly how far apart your holes should be. All right, quick lesson real quick. It's a long video, stick with me. This is important stuff. I get this question every day. It doesn't bother me. If you still don't understand it, it's not a problem. You can give me a phone call, message me. I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. Guys, on a solenoid, especially when you're doing an MJZ-400, which this is not an MJZ-400, this is the stock G29 solenoid. I get questions all the time. Which side is positive and which side is negative? Guys, a solenoid does not have a positive and negative top. This is essentially a big magnetic electric switch. Okay? When you're wiring this, the very first battery in your pack from your 48 volt system will go to one side. The opposite side will go to the battery positive sign on the controller. It's that easy. You got one wire coming in from the pack, one wire going to the controller. These two wires on here on the Yamaha are pretty nice because it's plug and play. You put these on the post on the MJZ. I'll show you out here in a minute. Pretty simple wiring. Guys, some people get really scared when it comes to dealing with electronics. If you're not comfortable, give one of us a call. We'll try to help you. Solenoids are pretty simple to install. You know, some of the older stuff, you still have to have a resistor or a diode on. The Navitas kit, you don't have to have that stuff. So if you're installing an AC kit and you call me and you say, Ryan, what do I do with this resistor? Or what do I do with this diode? You don't need them. Get rid of them. Okay? All right, so on the G29, the solenoid, these two little bolts right here, these are a 3/8 nut. So you take a 3/8 wrench, you're gonna take these off, because you gotta put them on the new solenoid. Otherwise, it no worky. Okay? Pull this little dude off. You're going to have to put it on the MJZ. Alright. Let's get it swapped. Alright, so we need to take these nuts off so that we can put our wires back in that go to the main harness to the cart. I say main harness, guys. It's not the main harness. It's one of the factory outlets that goes on the cart. That's one of the nice things about the G29. Don't drop your nut. So it's a 7mm. Pull those off. Alright. Alright, get those on there. Guys, this doesn't matter which wire goes to which post. It's an omnidirectional. You won't short anything out. So I'm putting the red to my hot side. I'm putting the black to the outgoing side. But it doesn't matter. You can wire them up either way. You want these snug, but this is a small screw. It doesn't take a lot, guys. Do not get, crazy, okay? Remember this, don't forget about this. We will come back to this here in a minute. While we're here though, we can go ahead and plug this up. All right. Moving on. Okay, so we're getting ready to put the motor in. I already showed y'all how heavy this motor was. If I was y'all, I wouldn't try to grab it with your hands and put it in. What I'm gonna use is a ratchet strap that I had. It's an old strap. I just took it down to where I knew I'd have enough slack to kind of maneuver it. We can hook this in. I put mine in facing the opposite direction. That way there's no chance of that thing sliding out and dropping. These are not cheap kits. You don't want to drop your motor and take a chance at knocking the speed sensor off or damaging the motor. Be careful when you put this in. I don't want you to get hurt. Safety first. All right, workout time. All right, now for the fun stuff. I'm gonna put my eyelets in backwards, where the hooks are facing out, not in. All right, guys, I'm gonna go right through the center of this thing. Now, you wanna make sure and be very careful not to knock your speed sensor out or to hit any of your wires. All right, let's time like the present. Right now I'm sitting on top of my pumpkin because I don't have a good way to lower this in at the moment. Grab it with my bottom hand. I'm gonna get it down in here. Alright, I actually got a hold of it with two hands. Now I can't get the spline to line up. Oh, the things you do when you're filming. Closer. Here we go. All right. Well, that was a lot harder than I wanted it to be, but it's in. Woo! Okay, so we're in. Yes, I'm breathing hard. That's a monster motor. Something you're gonna have to do with the 5K if you're running it on a G29. If you notice, I have marks. That's where all my bolt heads are. You're actually gonna have to clock this motor as far as you can. That way you don't knock your speed sensor off, because it will hit. Right now. Alright, so before you can move on, our new MJZ-400 Solenoid has bigger posts on top. So these eyelets aren't going to fit. So instead of changing them all out, guys, you know, having to go through and cut and recrimp and do all that, if you want to use this, my buddy had already upgraded to a 2-gauge cable setup. So we're just going to use a step-up bit. We're going to drill these out. Make our hole a little bit bigger. That way we can go over that post, no problem. Boom. Alright, so we have our small red wire. It's going to go to the hot side of the terminal. I say that's the hot side because that's the side that's coming in from our main 48 volt pack. Now, I don't have the battery hooked up, but we're going to go ahead and put this wire on. It's drilled out. Fit our new post. This is a 5/8 nut. We're going to get this put on. And then we will get this other side done. Now, from this side of your solenoid goes to the B positive on your controller. And it's on the left-hand side of this controller. So this is one of the reasons that I did a drop-down bracket, is because I didn't want to have to run my wire over the top of the controller, which it doesn't matter if you do. I just like mine looking a little bit cleaner. And once again, my big fingers, there we go, got it off. Alright. Okay, so we have another wire that we drilled out. This one is 16 inches long. Alright, so I labeled my wires. You can do the same. This one says battery positive to solenoid. I actually labeled it backwards, believe it or not. Alright. So we've got our wire ran from our solenoid. We're going to run over here to our battery positive. Like I said, the pack is dead right now. We're not hooked up. We don't have the main power hooked up. We're just getting all of our stuff lined up. See, now it's a lot cleaner. That's why we dropped that bracket down. So as you can see, now our cable runs under the controller and up back over here instead of running over the top of the controller. Alright, so now that we got the solenoid hooked up, we're going to run our wires for our motor. Let's get that started. Alright guys, so I built some custom cables for this setup. You can use the cables that came on the kit. I do recommend you upgrade to a 2-gauge cable. Now, to make this dummy proof, guys, the AC kit is super easy to install. But I went ahead and I added the W and the V and the U all to my cables. Makes it a little bit simpler. That way if you get carried away and you got to do something later and you got to come back, you don't have to trace all your lines. It's not a big deal. Alright, well, let's jump on this and let's get this installed. Alright, we're going to start off with our W. And guys, this takes a 10mm bolt, or 10mm socket I should say. This is the thing that's crazy about the Yamaha is it has this goalpost right here. Sometimes it makes it a little difficult to get your hand in here. Alright, now I'm going to tighten them, but not super tight, because if I have to be able to move the cable to make them look good and to flow better, I'll do that when I tighten them down. And I'll drop the washer again. We'll get that one in. So guys, you only got 3 motor wires. This isn't like a DC motor. This one's easy. Pretty simple. Alright. Now let's get the harness and the smaller wires hooked up. Alright guys, so we have our speed sensor and our plugs plugged into the wire or the motor here. Now I'm going to zip tie this up, but for right now, just match your prong. This is going to go to the left side of the Navitas kit, okay? Your opposite side is going to be for your OTF. So while we're down here, we're going to go ahead and take our main harness, and you might have to move it just a little bit. It's kind of this one's a tighter fit than I thought it was going to be. Alright, so guys, when you're going to plug your main harness in, you might have to cut this zip tie right here to get you a little bit more wiggle room. You're going to come down here. Go till it snaps. Alright. So now we have our main harness plugged in. We have our speed sensor stuff plugged in. We've got our wires run to our motor. All we got to do now is run our OTF cable and finish plugging our wires in. Well, now that we have all of our wires hooked up, just kind of an overview real quick. Your B positive goes over to one side of your solenoid, then the other side of the solenoid goes to your very first positive battery on your bank. B negative goes to your last battery in your 48 volt pack. Then you have U, V, and W, and that just connects to the U, V, and W on the motor. You have your main wiring harness. You have your red wire that connects to your positive side of your lug, or your, not positive, but main. You have your 2 wires. And then the biggest thing to remember on the G29 with the 5K motor is you have to clock the motor almost 45 degrees so that you don't knock your speed sensor off. Guys, if you do not clock that motor, you will rip that sensor off. Alright, let's jump to the front. Okay guys, not everybody's going to want their OTF on the dash. My boy Nick wanted his concealed and out of the way. That way none of the kids or nobody messed with it. So we mounted it inside the battery tray. It's nice and clean. There's nothing there to really hit it. So I don't really have an install on putting it in the dash this time because he didn't want it on the dash. So there we go. But everything is in. Now we just got to put the body back on and program it up. Well, now that we got the motor in and we have the controller in and OTF is in, Everything's wired up. All we got to do is put the body, back seat, and roof back on, and then it'll be time to go ahead and download everything, upgrade the firmware, get ready to roll. So let me jump on this. We'll get the body and stuff back on. When I catch back up to you, we'll be ready to go over the app, and then you guys will be ready to go. All right, guys, we had some issues when I went to do the app on my phone. I ended up having some corrupt files, and I couldn't get the video to download of showing you how to walk through the app. I have another AC install coming up here pretty quick. As soon as I get that installed, I'll be doing a whole nother video. This one's for everybody, not just Yamaha guys. I'll be walking through the Navitas app, show you how to download everything and how to get everything set. Guys, I hope you got something from this video. I know it was a long video, there's lots of information in it. I hope it helps you get your AC kit installed with your Yamaha G29. Guys, if you need help, you can always go to our Facebook page, Golf Carts Modified, or you can go to our website at www.golfcartsmodified.com. Hashtag text or call Travis, or you can call me. Our numbers are on there. Guys, thank you again. We got more videos coming out. This video took a little bit longer to shoot than I anticipated, but Nick got his cart back. He loves it. A lot more power, a lot more torque, and that's what we're about. Guys, remember to be safe, have fun, and always go modify.